Picture this. You're standing in line at Starbucks, debating whether to get the $5.75 latte or just the $2.85 drip coffee because you're trying to save money. Meanwhile, you're 3 months into a $687 car payment on a vehicle that's losing $427 in value every single month you own it. You know what's insane? Most people will agonize over that latte decision for 45 seconds, but they signed a 72-month car loan after a 2-hour dealership visit without ever calculating what it actually cost them. Not the monthly payment, the real cost, the kind that shows up in your net worth 10 years from now. There's a specific framework for making this decision that could save you somewhere between $47,000 and $136,000 over your lifetime. And it has almost nothing to do with what the dealership wants you to focus on. My name is Megan. I'm an accountant, and here I share smart financial tips that anyone can implement today. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed trying to figure out the car buying process, or if you're about to make this decision in the next few months and you want to actually understand the math instead of just trusting a salesperson, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if this helps you think differently about this. Now, before we get into which option actually makes sense for your situation, let me paint you a picture of what we're actually dealing with here. You walk into a dealership, or maybe you're shopping online, and suddenly you're hit with 3 completely different numbers. The salesperson shows you a purchase price of, let's say, $35,000. Then they show you a lease payment of $389 a month. Then they show you a finance payment of $531 a month. And here's what your brain does. It immediately starts comparing monthly payments because that's what feels manageable. That's what fits into your budget spreadsheet. But this is exactly what they want you to do, because monthly payments are designed to hide the actual cost of your decision. The average American will own somewhere between 9 and 13 cars in their lifetime, and the average person makes the wrong choice on about 7 of them. I'm not exaggerating. Most people are systematically transferring wealth from their future selves to car dealerships and banks, one decision at a time. Here's what actually happens when you understand the real cost structure of each option. When you finance a car, you're paying interest on a depreciating asset. That's like paying someone to help you lose money faster. When you lease, you're paying for the most expensive years of depreciation, then giving the car back and starting over. And when you buy with cash, you're taking a massive opportunity cost hit up front. Each option is a different financial trap designed to exploit a different psychological weakness. And I'll tell you exactly which trap you're most vulnerable to in a minute. But first, let's talk about what nobody explains to you at the dealership. Depreciation isn't just some abstract concept. It's actual cash disappearing from your net worth every single month. A $40,000 new car loses about $4,000 in value the moment you drive it off the lot. That's 10% gone in 60 seconds. Then it loses another $6,000 to $8,000 in the first year. By year 3, that car is worth maybe $24,000 if you're lucky. You just watched $16,000 evaporate. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. That depreciation happens whether you financed it, leased it, or paid cash. The car doesn't care how you paid for it. It's losing value at the same rate. But here's what changes. How much that depreciation actually costs you depends entirely on which option you chose. Let me show you exactly how this works with real numbers, because this is where most people's understanding completely falls apart. Let's say you're looking at a $40,000 car. If you finance it with a typical 6-year loan at 7.5% interest, you'll pay about $46,800 total. That's $6,800 in interest. But wait, there's more. That car is now worth maybe $12,000 after 6 years. So you paid $46,800 for something now worth $12,000. Your total cost? $34,800 in lost value. Plus, you tied up hundreds of dollars a month in payments. Now the lease scenario. Same $40,000 car, you lease it for 3 years at $450 a month. That's $16,200 total. Then you give the car back and own nothing. You paid for years 1 through 3 when the car lost the most value, then walked away. The leasing company calculated all of this. They're making money. You're just renting the most expensive years. And here's the kicker. If you bought that car with cash, sure, you own it outright. But you took $40,000 that could have been invested and locked it into something guaranteed to lose value. In an index fund averaging 10% returns, that money would be worth $70,500 after 6 years. Instead, you have a car worth $12,000. The opportunity cost is $58,500. But here's where most people completely miss the actual decision. This isn't about which option is universally best. It's about which trap you're most vulnerable to. The monthly budget optimizer sees that $389 lease payment versus the $531 finance payment and thinks, I can afford the lease. They'll lease forever, always having a payment, never building equity, spending $5,000 a year just to drive something they'll never own. The I deserve this buyer finances cars they can't afford because the payment is only $650 a month. They buy $50,000 trucks on a $65,000 salary. Within 2 years, they're underwater on the loan, trapped in an endless cycle of payments for vehicles depreciating faster than they can pay them off. The cash buyer who feels superior pays cash and feels amazing about it. But if you're taking $35,000 out of investments or depleting your emergency fund, you're making an emotional decision, not a mathematical one. That money has a better job than sitting in your driveway losing value. The paralyzed researcher has 17 browser tabs open, comparing everything. Can't make a decision, so they keep driving their 2009 Honda that needs $2,400 in repairs, convincing themselves they're being responsible, while that repair costs more than 6 months of a reasonable payment. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Megan, what am I actually supposed to do? Here's the framework, but it requires brutal honesty about 3 things. How long do you actually keep cars? Not how long you should, how long do you historically keep them? If you want a new car every 3 to 4 years, leasing might be your least expensive option. But if you drive cars into the ground, financing or buying used with cash destroys the lifetime cost of leasing. What's your opportunity cost? If you have $30,000 in a savings account earning 1%, buy a car with cash. But if that money is in investments earning 10%, or you have high interest debt, or no emergency fund, do not buy a car with cash. The math doesn't work. Can you actually afford this car? Your total car payment, insurance, gas, and maintenance should not exceed 15% of your gross income. If you make $75,000 a year, that's $937 monthly for all car expenses. If your payment alone is $650, you're in trouble. Let me tell you what I actually recommend, and this sounds boring, but boring builds wealth. Buy a 3-year-old certified pre-owned car with cash if you have it, or finance with the shortest term you can afford, 36 to 48 months max. Why 3 years old? You let someone else eat that brutal first depreciation. A $40,000 car is now $24,000 to $26,000. It's got 30,000 to 40,000 miles, some warranty left if certified, and will last another 8 to 10 years easily. But here's where people mess this up. They buy the boring Camry, feel proud, then 18 months later they're scrolling Instagram, see their friend's new car, think, I deserve an upgrade. Trade in that practical car, roll what they owe into a new loan, and they're right back in the trap. The car decision isn't one time, it's a pattern. Here's something that will probably surprise you. A $650 car payment is $7,800 a year not going into your Roth IRA. Over 30 years at 10% returns, that's $1.3 million you don't have in retirement. One car decision, repeated over time, is the difference between retiring comfortably and working into your 70s. And it changes how you show up at work. With $650 monthly in payments, you need that job. When your boss is unreasonable, when you're underpaid, when you see a better opportunity that's slightly risky, you can't take it. That payment is making career decisions for you. But with a paid-off car or small payment, you have options. Walking away money. You can negotiate harder, take calculated risks. The car isn't just transportation, it's a freedom decision. But here's what most people don't realize, and I learned this the hard way. I leased a BMW in my late 20s because I thought it made me look successful. $520 a month. And I convinced myself it was fine because I was, quote, building my brand. You know what I was actually doing? Renting someone else's opinion of success. After 3 years, I'd paid $18,720 and owned nothing. If I'd bought a $15,000 used car and invested that $520 monthly, I'd have had about $23,000 in investments. But I chose the car that made me feel important in the moment. So here's the actual framework. If you keep cars 3 to 4 years and you're going to want something new regardless, lease the most affordable option and invest the difference. If you keep cars 7 to 10 years, buy a 2 to 3 year old certified pre-owned with cash or a short loan. If you keep cars until they die, buy a 5 to 6 year old car from a reliable brand. Pay cash if you can and drive it for 10 to 15 years. And here's the most important part. Whatever you choose, take the difference between what you're paying and what you could be paying and invest it every month without fail. The car companies, the dealerships, the banks, they're all designed to keep you in debt, keep you in payments, keep you feeling like you need the upgrade. Your job is to step outside that system and make the decision your future self will thank you for. Because 10 years from now, you're not going to remember whether you drove a slightly nicer car in 2026. But you're absolutely going to notice whether you have $50,000 in investments or $50,000 in debt. Buy the boring car, take the short loan or pay cash, invest the difference. Your future self is counting on you making the smart decision today, not the decision that feels good in the dealership. Trust me, they'll thank you for it.